Welcome back to Pitso on SABC Lihaye. Bafana Bafana walked into Korogo last night on a mission to turn things around after losing 2-0 in their opening group stage match against Mali in the African Cup of Nations. South Africa took a 4-0 victory against neighboring country Namibia in order to move up to the second spot of Group E. Right now, we're joined from Ivory Coast by an SABC senior sports journalist Mazola J. Mulife to recap on last night's blazing encounter with us. Mazola, good morning to you, and thank you for joining us on Pitso. First, how do you make of Bafana's performance last night? What was different against Mali in the opening match?
Yeah, good morning. I think a lot of things were different. First of all, I think Coach Hugo Bruce took a tough decision to bench Sianda Kulu, who obviously had lacked match fitness, having not played a lot at SuperSport United over the last couple of months. Unfortunately, Sianda is one of the trusted lieutenants at Bafana under Coach Hugo, but he was found wanting in that match against Mali, and the coach took the tough decision to leave him on the bench, and thought obviously we moved the ball a lot quicker. We used our speed with good effect, and when the penalty did come, Pesitau was brave enough to take it again and change his technique, and I think that was a game changer. And Pesi did admit himself that against Mali, he thinks if he scored that penalty, the game would have turned out differently, and it proved again last night with us getting a penalty. He scored. Well, I didn't think we'd score 4 goals, but it was a great game of football to watch from a South African point of view.
And let's look at Namibia. They're very familiar with our style of play, as some of them or most of them are playing in the PSL. One would have thought that they would have, had a good game against us. But what went wrong on their side?
Yeah, I think we've always dominated Namibia. I believe this was maybe our 9th, 10th meeting, maybe even more if I stand to be corrected. And we've never ever lost to Namibia. Maybe a couple of draws here and there in recent times, but we've always had the better of them. From their side, it's difficult to say. Because I've not obviously been watching a lot of Namibia games in the build up to the AFCON, but I know that a lot of their players are based in the PSL, and their coach has always spoken about how Namibia's best asset or best, one of their strengths is their speed. And I thought we countered that pretty well. We had defenders at the back who countered that specific threat. Hence I'm talking about Sianda being on the bench. He's not one of the fastest defenders, but we had Grant Kekana, who is quite quick, and we had Tapelo Morena, who's also a speedy attacker and was operating on that right channel. So it all just came together. I thought even the subs that the coach was making were good enough to make sure that Namibia don't even get a whiff. Peter Shalulile did get what looked like a sitter in the first half, and he missed. But if I look back, he probably would have been adjusted offside, or it would have been a foul on Mutobi Mvala. So Coach Benjamin maybe will look at this game and realize that his tactics on the day were not spot on, but credit has to go to Bafana. Bafana was simply that good.
So let's now focus on that handball that led into a penalty in the early minutes of the game. How much pressure was on Pesitau, especially against that wide miss in the penalty shootout against Mali?
The fact that Pesitau took that penalty again tells you that he'd been thinking about it, overplaying it in his head. And I think there was a clear decision taken from the technical team and the squad as a whole about who would take a penalty again should it come about against Namibia. Because if you watch the game again, especially that moment, there are not a lot of players around the ball. There was no discussion about who the penalty taker would be. As soon as we were awarded the penalty, Pacey stepped up and took the ball and put it in the back of the net. So, he knew it was discussed. I'm sure he practiced over and over again to make sure that he doesn't repeat the same mistake. So, Was there pressure? Sure, there was pressure, but Pitso I has played for big clubs around the continent, in the world. He's used to that kind of pressure. He just needed to change his technique and do best, and that's exactly what he did.
So some might argue that South Africa's defense was solid last night. What is your take on that?
Yeah, as I've said earlier before, it's because of the change that the coach made. He went on that telepathy of the Sundowns players that are obviously so used to each other, playing at club level. You had Mtobimbala and Gankekana as a centre back pairing. They're so used to each other at Sundowns. You had Aubrey Mutiba at left back. You had Tapelo Morena at right back as well. They know each other, and that I think was the base. The goalkeeper as well is a Sundowns goalkeeper, and Coach Hugo Bruce has time and time again spoken about how he needs to take advantage of Sundowns doing so well on the continent in the African Football League and CAF Champions League. And was obviously able to capitalize on having them as a group together, and that gave us a solid base, a spine to which we could be able to stop Namibia.
Masola, let's talk about Themba Zwane's performance last night, especially knowing that he was dropped from the squad and he literally was called in the last minutes. Would you have expected him to be the danger in that encounter?
I'm not sure what you mean by dropped from the squad, but I suppose you mean he's niggling injury earlier in the build up to the AFCON. But Themba has always been a key part of the team. Themba obviously had played a lot of games for Mamelodi Sundowns, so there was a little bit of fatigue. So he was rested against Lesotho in the final preparation game, but did start against Mali, but taken off because obviously the coach was looking for plan B. There was no doubt in my mind that Themba would start and be a match winner, as we saw, scoring 2 goals almost on a hat trick and getting the man of the match award. Players like Themba know when to step up, and hopefully he continues this form throughout the competition.
Let's go back a bit to Namibia. Was Colin Benjamin's plan of not making any changes in his squad his ultimate mistake, to taking it the big loss?
I don't think so. I mean, they beat Tunisia in their opening game, which was a big result here in Cote d'Ivoire as far as the AFCON is concerned, because Namibia considered minnows in the tournament on the continent, and they caused a huge upset by beating Tunisia, who've won the competition before several years ago, and are always considered to be a tough opposition. So I don't blame Coach Colin not changing his tactics. That game Namibia played against Tunisia, I watched it and I thought Namibia was solid. They, as again, used their speed to good effect. I understand why the coach would have rewarded the same players to start against Bafana, hoping they replicate their performance, but unfortunately it didn't go his way.
Let's look at Tunisia now. Tunisia is very wounded. I mean, they lost the first match and then they drew the second match, and they're meeting Bafana on Wednesday. What do you think will pan out? What can we expect in this next match?
Yeah, it's going to be a tough game. Everybody needs the points. Bafana, worst case scenario is a draw, which could possibly get them through. But building on the momentum of beating Namibia 4-0, I'm sure the players will be, you would have picked up from that win. They would have been boosted by that and looking to bury Tunisia. I expect a very tough game. As I said, both sides need the points, especially Tunisia. They need to win, having only been able to manage a point in the 2 games so far. But this competition is tough. It's so unpredictable. Even Bafana, you can't say for sure where they're going to get the points or where they're going to get the win. But obviously, from a South African point of view, we all hope that Bafana are able to come out of the group, and from there, anything can happen once you get to the knockout stages.
Masola Mulife, thank you so much for your time. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Always a pleasure. Thank you.
That was Masola Mulefe, an SABC senior sports journalist, recapping with us on the latest Bafana Bafana match, which was played last night. Group E encounter against Namibia, winning 4-0.